Hello and welcome back to Officina Virtuale. Today we are going to be continuing our beginner series. As always, let's click on Mechanical Design and Part Design. Part 1, let's click on OK. And today we're going to talk about multi-section solid. Clearly we need two different sketches. For example, we can sketch something on this plane. And for example, let's sketch an hexagon. And we need a second sketch. For example, we can select our y-x plane and obtain an offset from plane, let's say 100, and let's click on preview and let's click on OK, and we can sketch something on this plane. Let's click on this plane and we can sketch another hexagon like this. We can change the orientation, and now in our, let's say, YZ plane, we can sketch a different line. For example, we can project this point as a construction point. We can project this point as a construction point. Okay. Now we can sketch a spline like this and 3. Okay. Now, let's click on multi-section solid. We can select our first sketch, and as you can see here, we've got different options. Today we're going to talk about guides and spine. I will let you rest until you're a bit more advanced. Now let's click on our first sketch and our second sketch. And as you can see, clicking on this sketch, we've got two different elements. We've got a definition of our section, but the most important thing that we've got here is our closing point. We've got our closing point for our first sketch, and we've got this closing point on our second sketch. The most important thing that we need to know is that these two different points must have the same orientation. And if I click on preview, this is what we've got. I can change the orientation, but this is not, that does not make sense, as you can see here. So I can change this orientation here. Let's click on preview. And we can change our closing point to change the shape of our solid, multi-section solid. Clicking on this, right click on closing point, I can select the option replace. And for example, I can select this point and let's click on preview. And this is what we got, okay? The most important thing that you need to know and you need to remember is that we want the idea that these two different lines must have the same orientation. And of course, if I select this point, replace, I can select this point as our closing point. Let's click on preview. Obviously, we can change the shape of our solid, or multi-section solid. Okay. So let's change our closing point, replace. Let's select this and let's click on preview. As you can see here, we've got even the option spine. If I select spine and at our spine, I can select this line and I click on preview. I can change the shape. My multi-section solid can follow this line. This is our spine. I can cancel. Okay. I can use even the option guide. I can select cancel. I can use a line from this point to this point, for example, and let's click on OK. And now I've got the option first, second, and now when I click on spine, and let's click on preview, I cannot obtain this multi-section solid because, as you can see here, we've got this different positioning of our element, and I can follow this line. This is why we need to change the position of our closing point. Replace, and we need to select this as our closing point, and let's check the orientation. Okay, and let's click on preview. And now this is what we got. Okay. these are the two different options. We will use often these two different options. Normally we will use this spine, but in our 3D space and using our shape and generative shape design, normally we will use spline in our space. Okay, let's click on OK. Of course, we are talking about multisection solid, so we can sketch something on our YX plane like this. For example, let's check for this. Let's sketch our hexagon. On this plane we can sketch something different. No, we can sketch another hexagon with different orientation, and now we can add a plane using the surface as a reference. Let's say 100. Okay, and on this plane we can sketch another hexagon, this time much bigger hexagon like this. Okay, now let's click on multisection solid. We can select this is our first element, this is our second element, and this could be our third element. Let's check our closing point and let's click on preview, and this is our, we can change this. As you can see, we've got two different orientation. I can change the orientation of this point and I can change the orientation of this point, and let's click on preview, and this is our solid. Okay, if I change the orientation and if I click on preview and preview, and let's click on OK. So remember, this is a multisection solid. That means we need different sketch. You can use two sketch, but normally we can use even different sketch, like 3 or 4, and normally we can use guides and spine, and we've got this other option. We will see that in our subsequent tutorial. Let's click on preview and OK. As always, if you like this video, please consider to subscribe, share, and see you soon.